WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD, your award-winning South Shore radio station. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems. And someone told me recently this is my 4-year anniversary on WATD. Jesse, does that sound correct?
That went by fast, huh?
I thought so. Well, but maybe it was. Who knows? Time flies, I guess. So...
me and Ray Brown are on our 100th year.
100th year, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, good old Ray. I'm pleased to know he likes my program. So,
he likes it so much that he didn't even hear my joke in the studio next to me, which makes me think that he's not even listening to the program. That's unfortunate for all of us.
Which is good to know. We have talked to our next guest before, but I think it's time to do it again. Michael Parsons, he is with Source One Financial Group. Michael, good morning and welcome back to the Car Doctor radio program.
Good morning, John. Thank you very much.
First off, tell us why you email me from time to time with some information that kind of frightens me a little bit about what's going on when something happens to your vehicle. You get in a car crash and insurance companies get involved, and it doesn't always go the way people want it to.
Well, unfortunately for me, I run an auto finance company, and I have to deal with insurance companies on a daily basis related to total losses. And for most people, that only happens once in their entire lifetime. But what we're seeing now is a level of fraud and cheating on the part of the insurance companies that is almost mind-boggling.
You mentioned once before, and when I was many years ago, I went to school to become an auto damage appraiser, and back then it was I shouldn't say pretty straightforward. It's probably as subjective as it could be because there wasn't computers and various tools. You had to have some actual experience to figure out how much it was going to cost to repair that fender and door and bumper, or perhaps somehow determine what the loss was for the vehicle if it was a total loss. Today, a lot of that's done with computers and now AI, from what I understand. And there's a lot of jumping to conclusions. Is that a good way to describe it?
I wouldn't. It is a jump to conclusion on the part of the insurance company to simply say that every car at every dealer lot is dealer ready, regardless of its actual condition. But what I'm finding most disturbing now is the company that's backing up that statement, that all cars are inspected vehicles at dealer lots, has really gone one step over the line and produced in a lawsuit a statement that says that they go from new car dealer lot to new car dealer lot and inspect all of their used car inventory, but with the dealer principal or general manager who supposedly walks them around the lot with all the keys for all the used cars, lets them climb inside, open the hood, and look at the vehicles, and that's how they rate the cars or the inspected inventory as dealer ready. And just the assertion is so ridiculous that somehow a $250 a month employee of this company is walking around the lot with Herb Chambers, opening car after car because Mr. Chambers is taking his time to walk around the lot with them. And so when I received this affidavit from this company, I felt it was important to share it with you and begin to share it with people in general. Say, there's one thing to make an assertion, but it's entirely different when you do a court filing and you put in an affidavit that's just patently false. just in an attempt to cheat people out of $1,500 when they're in a total loss. So
it's sort of interesting. I mean, you use the dealer example that the car is in this dealer or customer ready condition, and I remember looking at a Volkswagen EOS once, and it had some obvious body repair done to it, or at least it was obvious to me, and it was like, it's 100% ready to go car, and I opened up the car door, and 2 gallons of water came out of the door, and it was sort of like, it rained, and it's a convertible, and they'll get wet, and I'm like, no, this car's a wreck. This isn't 100% ready car. But on the other hand, if I was, if I had a 5 or 6 year old car, and something happened, I got in a crash, maybe it was my fault, maybe it was someone else's fault, and the insurance company said, we looked up the value of your car based on retail sales, based on Kelley Blue Book, based on NADA guides, based on Galves, if they still exist, based on all these other characteristics, your car is worth X amount, except for the fact we made some deductions off those values because of something. And it's that unknown that they took off the value that people don't always question, do they?
They never question it, almost. I mean, and the sad part is most people don't know why that additional deduction was made. Because I deal with so many total losses, I've actually been able to get from the insurance company the supposed reasons for the deductions. And usually they're just things that aren't true. When they declare the damaged car to be normal, for example, if your car is ever deemed to be normal in a report that you receive from your insurance company, that means it has burn holes, tears, or rips in the headliner, seats, and carpet. Now, I don't know about you, John, but I don't think normal wear are rips and tears in the headliner of a car. I think those are relatively extraordinarily bad things.
Yeah.
But yet, that is how 97% of consumer cars are rated. And so as I'm going through this process with my company, every once in a while someone reaches out to me and asks me for help. And in fact, this week, there was a gentleman from the Cape who contacted me, and he had a 2014 Toyota Avalon. He was 75 years old. The car only had 75,000 miles on it. It's a great car. And we're pretty sure that was going to be the last car of his existence. The insurance company offered him $6,000 for his car, with a whole series of deductions related to condition. And so this gentleman was out looking for a new car and reached out to me to help him with this insurance claim. And the only vehicle he could find that was comparable was a 2015 Toyota Avalon that was on the market for $14,000, almost more than twice what he was being offered on this vehicle.
While we were talking, I just quickly typed in 2014 Toyota Avalon, and the cheapest one I can find is $8,650, and it has 205,000 miles on it.
Right.
The one that's similar to the one you described with under 75,000 miles on it is 14,000. Another one 16,000. So that $6,000 settlement doesn't even barely gets them a deposit to replace the vehicle.
And the worst part here is this poor gentleman is 75 years of age. This was his retirement car, for lack of a better term. You know that somebody who has a 2014 and has owned it from new has treated that car really, really well. The idea that there's a car dealer that has a better quality or better condition motor vehicle than that 75-year-old man is hard to believe. By the time a car gets to be 12 years old, the one on the dealer lot and the one in your driveway are pretty similar at that point. There's not much the dealer can do but lipstick on that pig, for lack of a better term. So when I get something so egregious as the affidavit that led to this telephone call this morning, I feel it necessary to share with everyone. And I certainly share it with the state regulators, and I share it with the Attorney General's office, and I share it with the Division of Insurance, and I hear nothing back. There are more than 100,000 total losses in Massachusetts annually. The average person gets underpaid by about 15% on their total loss, and we don't see our regulators doing anything to help.
Well, let's start with a little bit of the basics. How are insurance loss values determined? When this fella with the 2014 Avalon, and they came up with this $6,000 price, and you and I both know it's going to be impossible to replace that vehicle with such low mileage for anywhere near close. And to a certain extent, a 12-year-old car, does it make a lot of difference if it has 75,000 or 125,000? The mileage doesn't come into play quite as much as it does when it's a 2 or 3-year-old car. But how are these prices determined? Is it a dartboard on a wall they throw a dart at and go, that's 6,000? How's it happen?
There's actually a regulation in Massachusetts, and what the insurance company is supposed to do is take into account 4 factors. The first one is relatively easy. It's the depreciated purchase price. Mm-hmm. And that's more important for a car that's much newer, obviously. Mm-hmm. The second one is a retail book value for the vehicle. And usually NADA is the Bible in that regard. The third piece is supposed to be a survey of locally available vehicles of like kind and condition. Mm-hmm. And that one you and I both know you can just do a Google search to see what's available in the area.
Like I did 10 seconds ago. Yeah.
Like you did 10 seconds ago. And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to deduct any pre-existing damage. So if there's a prior accident, you take that value away. Yep. And that's the regulation. Unfortunately, the vast majority of insurance companies now are paying no attention to that regulation. They don't look at the original purchase price, and very few look at the book value. And most rely on a product called CCC1, Market Valuation Reports. And that value always comes in low. And the reason it comes in low is because the insurance company's appraiser states that your car is normal wear, while everything on a dealer lot is supposedly dealer ready. And so there's a 15% decrease in value applied. But it's one thing to say it.
And let's go back to that normal wear and tear that seems to be the key piece here. The normal wear and tear, and I'll throw my wife under the bus a little bit here. She's a smoker, but she hasn't smoked in a car since 2009. But somebody could say, "Oh, there's smoke damage, or there's something." But in fact, there isn't. In fact, when she gave up smoking in the car, I think I glued her ashtray shut. So that idea that they go, that's normal, and like you pointed out, normal to that is different. And I'll go to like leasing. When you turn a lease car in, you're responsible for anything above normal wear and tear. Well, that could be a scratch the size of a quarter, and the dealership could go, well, you're responsible for that. It certainly isn't called normal if there's holes in the headliner.
And I would agree with that. I mean, certainly in the current time, so many of the guidelines that have been promulgated by this company are back from the 1980s, when there was velour cloth interior of cars. So many modern cars, you can't punch a hole in the seats easily. No one smokes in the vehicle anymore. The carpets aren't of a material that will take a tear easily at this point. So it's the insurance companies looking to game the consumer, and the consumer being willing to be gamed to a certain extent on their on the price. We're really reliant upon the government at a certain point to regulate our insurance companies, and when there are complaints made, to chase them down. But the Division of Insurance just doesn't do it. They don't pursue these claims. They don't check for us. When someone files a complaint with the Division of Insurance or the Attorney General's office related to the value of their car, you and I never hear about it. And this is affecting more than 100,000 of our fellow citizens on an annual basis. It's really shameful. Lots of people. Go ahead.
And it sounds horrible. And this sort of started when you were looking at total losses, and you what made the light go off for you that said, wait a second, these numbers are 15% or more out of whack with real life. What made you decide to try to champion this?
Well, fortunately for me, I had several hundred examples of these reports, and I had several hundred examples of calculations that we had done to fair value of cars. And I began to see that in the report themselves, very deep within it, there was a condition adjustment that was being taken by by CCC1. And I began drilling down on that condition adjustment, both in the forms of requests to insurance companies who couldn't answer the question for me, but then began litigating against those insurance companies to get the answer. And once I received the answer, it was really shocking, because there's actually supposed guidelines that are used. And these guidelines are used by the insurance company's appraiser. But when we reached out to those insurance company appraisers, they claim to have never seen them. And so this seems to be a systemic, industry-wide practice that is very well hidden to hide the truth from everyone. So at that point, I began to share it with others, like yourself, but I also began to share it with the regulators. And what was most disturbing was that the regulators' response appeared to be, well, it's only 15%. But if we take the example of the gentleman down on the Cape, here's a guy who had a car from 2014 through 2026. For 12 years in a row, he paid his insurance claims. He did everything he was supposed to do. The car was never in a prior accident. And suddenly, he gets hit by a third party, and he's getting cheated out of $8,000 of value. How is that fair? How is that right? And who's going to take up that individual's defense? I mean, politely, he's a 75-year-old man. That car was going to last him through the rest of his life. And now he's compelled to go out and spend, half of his Social Security for the year, or maybe a third of his Social Security for the year, to buy the same car that he was in a couple of weeks ago. It just seems inherently unfair.
It does. And what happens when you, as potentially the lender, calls the insurance company up and goes, hey, look, you offered this guy $6,000. The nearest comparable vehicle to this is $10,000. What's the response? The response to my company is we get paid, but we only get paid as to what we are owed. And so if we use the following examples of the insurance company offering 6, my company is owed 10, but this car is worth 14, my fight goes away when I get to 10. And because of my reputation, the insurance company pays the 10. That doesn't make the consumer whole. In fact, the vast majority of consumers in the Commonwealth now who are buying a new car
will also buy gap insurance from the same insurance company, which is shocking. So people are adding $1,500 to the purchase price of their car or $1,000 to the purchase price of their car, so they won't end up in this quote-unquote upside-down position that doesn't really exist. It's a tremendous moneymaker for the insurance companies.
Mm. So what's someone to do? I think it was years ago, and I'm screwing up the phrase here a little bit, but I think it was like Sid's Clothing or something, and said a informed customer is our best client or something like that. What's a consumer supposed to do? How are they supposed to handle this? Maybe even preemptively before anything even happens. What should they be talking to their insurance companies as they're buying insurance? Should they try to document vehicle purchases and then sort of what's going on around them at the same time? How do they, or should they be constantly taking pictures and videos of their cars to document the overall condition? What's a consumer to do?
I would suggest for the consumer to start with, when they get in a situation where their vehicle is a total loss, is to make sure as they're emptying the vehicle out of their personal belongings, they take a lot of pictures. Mm-hmm. They take pictures of the interior, they take pictures of the headliner, they take pictures of the rest of the car to prove the car had been maintained in a decent way. Number two, I would suggest that when they're talking to their insurance company, that they might go out to a website like ClaimX, which is CLAIM-MAXX.com, and just print off the guidelines so that they have them to understand what's going on. And finally, file a complaint. File a complaint with the Division of Insurance. File a complaint with the Attorney General. Tell them that you were cheated. Tell them that this is not right. And last but not least, small claims. Judges, magistrates are really decent people. And it takes a lot for most people to get angry enough to sue their insurance company. And if you go into court in small claims, you're going to win. And the reason is that you're going to be there, you're going to have a value to your car, you're going to say that you were cheated, and the judge is going to believe, simply because you're there, that there was something wrong with this value. If you're getting paid less than the native value of your car, you should complain.
Does the judge, and based on your experience, I mean, you use the word cheated. Is that maybe a strong enough word?
You could use the word fraud, but most people are not going to listen, or most judges won't listen to that. It is relatively amazing, John, that Source One has been doing this now for over 10 years, and we've never made it to court. We've never gotten in front of a judge and a jury to be able to explain this. In each and every instance, we have been paid what we were owed, plus all of our attorney's fees and interest over the last 10 years. So if you're willing to stay the course, you rarely come up short.
Well, you're a financial company. You do loans, you do other things, but somebody who, like maybe this guy on the Cape, paid cash for his car in 2014. How does it work when someone comes to you and says, "I need your help because I'm not getting paid what I should from the value of my car"? How's it work between you and that person?
I take a few minutes, because I'm lucky enough to be able to do that, and sit with the person and talk to them and explain to them how they just were cheated. And then what I give them is a form that is called a reservation of rights, so that they can reserve their rights and accept the payment from the insurance company, and then turn right around and take them to small claims. But I also say to them, go to your agent. You were a decent customer for a long time. This individual had both car insurance and home insurance with this agent, and explain to the agent how you're being cheated and tell them that you're going to move your business unless they do something to help. Mm-hmm. And that does work. Remember, the agent currently works for the insurance company. But if he sees that you're going to move your car insurance and your home insurance as well to another agency, you're going to get a better response.
Now, when a home has damage and someone hires a public adjuster, the public adjuster gets kind of a piece of the
increase.
Is that how it works for you as well?
No, I mean, I don't do this I do it for profit at work of the finance company. Mm-hmm. When I'm just assisting someone who's just been in a total, no, I'm not looking for any compensation. Oh. The answer is that person's already been through a trauma, right?
Yep.
Their car was totaled, and now their insurance company is not treating them fairly. For me to take a half an hour or 45 minutes of my time to share with them what they need to do, that's just being a decent neighbor.
Can't ask for more than that. If people want to find out more information about what you're doing, maybe even be able to help you with your, going to the state, going to legislators to look at these kind of issues, what can they do? Where can they go? How can they help themselves, but also help the rest of the residents in Massachusetts?
My email is on my on a website called ClaimMax, CLAIM-MAXX.com, and they can send me an email through that portal, and I'll get back to them. The people that I really want to hear from more than anyone else are the regulators. The idea that 100,000 people in the Commonwealth are being injured on an annual basis should shock everyone. The idea that millions of people in the Commonwealth are buying an insurance product, gap insurance, that they don't have to, should shock everyone. And as consumers, you really expect that the regulators would be out trying to assist, and that they just seem to be missing the boat on this issue.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday morning and educating us and, making us aware that the numbers just aren't right. And, let people know that, whether they, live in Massachusetts or live in Idaho, whatever it is, don't accept that first offer from the insurance company. It's chances are buried in that offer is some deductions that shouldn't be there.
That is entirely the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, with a total loss insurance, you're selling your car to the insurance company. Don't take the buyer's first offer. Negotiate well with knowledge.
Yeah, and it's the insurance company's job, I guess, is to pay as little as possible. I guess that's what their job really is when you get right down to it. And as a consumer, your job is to try to get the maximum value out of what you've been paying for however long you've had car insurance. So there is that negotiation that needs to take place, and I think you've opened up a lot of eyes this morning about this, and I truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a great Sunday, and congratulations on 4 years.
All right, thanks, Michael. Take care. Bye-bye. We need to pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is a Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and buying savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
You let that mountain reach high. You let that river run wild.
Hi, this is Jeff Neely.
And this is Joe Clapp.
And I'm Stephen Davis.
We're Humble Roots. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio.
Hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
On 95.9 WATD and 95.9 WATD.com.
And of course, visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10. on 95.9 WATD. Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And in case you're wondering what was going on, my wife has gone back up north for the week. She went to go get her car, and apparently there's a low tire, so they're trying to chase around, trying to find an air compressor, her and my nephew. And sorry, I got a little distracted, so got that over with, I think. But I think I only have one plug-in air compressor, one battery air compressor. I'm sure they'll find their way. They'll get it taken care of. It's just you're not there, so it's always a little difficult. Couple things this week that sort of just showed up at my door. One of them was a smart electric vehicle charger from a company called MSI, and I'm not sure why they sent it to me because I don't really have a use for it. So I asked them to send a return label. But on the other hand, it's pretty slick. It's a level 2 electric vehicle charger. It is designed to plug into a standard 240 volt outlet like you would plug in an electric stove, for instance. So if you have an electric outlet available, or you have, say your washer and dryer is in your garage or something, you could simply unplug it and plug this in and get faster high-speed charging. So the only direct wiring you have to do, you don't have to wire to the unit, you only have to wire to a plug, which actually makes it much more convenient. I think it uses what's called a NEMA 540, so 40 amp 240 volt outlet. Again, it wasn't something, it just sort of showed up, and I don't have an electric vehicle, so they're going to be taking it back. Something else that showed up in the mail was from a company called Pharma-C, Pharmac, and it's an odor eliminator spray. And maybe they think I smell bad, but it is it's one of those things that actually doesn't cover up. It's not like an air freshener. It's actually designed to make bad smells go away, and it uses the main ingredient seems to be hydrogen peroxide, and it has a pretty neat little scent to it, so it doesn't smell bad. Some of these things kind of smell very chemically, sort of this doesn't. And then the other thing that showed up this week, I've always been a fan of Meguiar's wax products. Since I can remember the first thing I ever waxed, I think, Meguiar's always was a good product. I always knew I could kind of stand by it. It was easy to recommend. I was always very happy with it. Whether it was their scratch remover, their wax, their car wash products. I'm a fan of their waterless car wash products, where you just kind of spray it on. You use a lot of microfiber cloths, but you spray it on, wipe it off, spray it. Now, if you have winter grit and grime, I wouldn't really recommend it. But if you have just typical couple weeks worth of dust and dirt on your vehicle, stuff works really well. And Meguiar's, I don't think, has ever sent me a bottle of car wax, but I've always been a fan. Well, this week I got some products from Mother's Car Care Products, and they sent me a few to try out. And I guess I've purchased Mother's products in the past because I think at the local AutoZone store that seemed to be more of what they carried, so I would buy it, and it was fine. But I always sort of went back to Meguiar's because I just seemed to like their products. I met Barry, and it may have to do with I met Barry Meguiar a bunch of years ago, and I had Barry Meguiar on the radio show a bunch of years ago. Maybe that's why I like their products. He just seemed a very approachable guy. There was a guy, Barry Meguiar. But I got these Mother's products in the mail, and one of them was a car wash product, and everything seems to have the word ceramic in it these days. But their car wash product worked pretty good, and they also have a ceramic type spray wax. I got to tell you, it's really good. And for some reason, I thought years ago, Mothers and Meguiar's merged together. That is not the case. They also have a glass product that I tried, and I've been a Sprayway fan for years. I always like Sprayway window cleaner. This is called Revision. It's glass and surface cleaner. Stuff works really well. I've been pretty sold on that. They also have a waterless wash and wax. They sent me a little bottle. These are like trial size. Sent me a trial size bottle of it. I have purchased their products in the past. I kind of went back to the Meguiar's, even though literally they look identical. You put the two products side by side; they're the same color. They have the same smell, just about. So I always thought that was I think that's one of the reasons I thought they were the very same company, but they're not. They're a different company. But I've tried some of their products now, and the ones I've looked at, the ceramic wash and wax product, I really liked it, and the ceramic spray wax product. I did both my car and my wife's car, and I don't know, they came out really good. Our phone number, 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Let's talk to John in Melrose. John, good morning. John? Jesse?
Sorry, you keep catching me off guard. Are we going to the phone call?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
John
talking? Yes.
Yeah. You know, apparently Jesse is cooking breakfast for everybody at the station this morning. So,
geez, I hope I can get some. I'm starved.
Yeah, me too.
The reason I'm calling, I have a neighbor who owns a Honda SUV. Now it's probably a handful of years old. I'm not sure. But she said she had problems with all the lights on her dashboard coming on. So she brought it into the Honda dealer, Honda of Boston, and they said it was a sensor, which they changed the sensor, and it worked. But they also told her that where the sensor's located or whatever, which I don't know where, and that was covered under warranty. And they said that if they damaged the portion where this sensor, I guess it's screwed in or whatever, if they damaged that section where they extracted the sensor, that it wasn't covered under their warranty, even though they damaged it, taking it out of whatever it was screwed onto. Now, does that sound right to you?
No.
She would be held responsible?
No, I mean, if, for instance, and what year car did you say this was?
I don't know, but I'm going to say it's probably a handful of years old.
Okay, all right. Now,
Something like that.
If she lived right on the ocean and she never took care of her car and it had an excessive amount of rust, and they're like, this isn't normal.
Okay.
We will try our best with what we can do, but this is way rustier than what we would normally see in a vehicle this old. Then maybe there would be some additional labor that might go to her side, but for the most part, because the way the car's made, and I'm guessing it was probably some kind of wheel sensor or something that they had to get to. That's part of the job. I mean, that's all it comes down to. That's part of the job. The sensor is like you said, whatever the sensor is was covered under warranty. So if it's covered under warranty, the labor to take the part in and out are covered under warranty. Now maybe the dealer's not happy with the amount of warranty money that Honda's paying them, but that doesn't give them the right to just say, "Hey, look, you'll be responsible for anything additionally on top of that." That's not right.
Even if they have caused the damage.
If they have caused the damage, they're responsible to fix the damage. Yeah.
Well, apparently they didn't damage whatever said could happen.
Right.
But I was just curious if they were, trying to pull the wool over her eyes.
It sounds it a little bit. I mean, for instance, let's take some dash component. Let's say the heater controls stop working. And, it used to be years ago, everything was held in with screws. You take the screws off, the plates would come off, you'd be able to get to whatever. Now they're all held in with clips. And the clips are terrible. And a lot of times you go to take something apart and the clip breaks and, but that's not your fault. That's what happens. And you have to be very, very careful to disassemble things without breaking stuff. And, for them to say, when we went to take it apart, it broke. Well, if no one has ever been in there, playing around, well, that's not your fault as a consumer. That's something between them and the manufacturer. No, that's unfortunately that's part of doing the job. If it took longer than what they expected because something broke and they broke it, well, they got to fix it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured also.
Yeah.
But, listening to your program today, I had to ask that question.
Yep. All right. All right. Thanks, John. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's go over to Mike in Bridgewater. Michael.
Morning, John.
Good morning. Well, see, Jesse must be done cooking breakfast for everybody at the station. So.
Yeah, the grill is off. Okay.
Yeah.
I had called you a few months ago, whatever. It was about a tire pressure monitor system that was coming in. I asked you, should I get it fixed? And you said yes. Kind of an update about a week and a half ago. The ABS would, if you blinked your eyes, you would notice that the icon comes on. But you do notice, because your foot's on the brake, and all of a sudden it starts to do the ABS thing. And instead of you stopping where you think you are, the brakes give up, then come back on, and you're a little further along. Anyways, I took it, and I took it to Juniors, and they were unable to figure out what the problem was. The batteries in all of the the tire pressure monitors are working. They're fine.
Remind me again what kind of car it is.
Sure. Okay, so it's a 2016 Lexus ES 300H.
Yep.
I'll help you here. So they were unable to because it doesn't set codes, and that was one of the things. And I ended up calling up Lexus. Come to find out, it's not a recall, but it's a service bulletin that they're extending till August. And here's the deal. Tomorrow I go, and they're going to do a diagnostic, and if it's the problem that they're covering under this service bulletin, it'll be free. Otherwise, if it doesn't come up under the diagnostic, then it's $218. So it seems to be that's an issue, and it's something that they must have either information or equipment. I mean, I know that you have to buy modules and things like that to update and observe, for your scanners and stuff. But so I'm going tomorrow, and hopefully they're going to tell me, oh, yeah, that was the problem, and, it's going to be fixed. Otherwise, if it doesn't come up, and here's the thing, John, the tire pressure monitor, the numbers themselves, the actual readouts, were always dashes for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, the gentleman, they took it out a second time. Well, now all the numbers have come back, and I'm going, oh, good. I'm going to go to Lexus. Well, there's no problem. Everything's fine, and that's how it's going to go. But it just was a service bulletin after a diagnostic, and they're extending it until August. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know if it's
that's interesting because, while we're talking, I was just sort of looking. Now, I use All Data for looking up bulletins and things like that, as does Junior's Automotive. I think he uses All Data and Mitchell, and I think he uses everything he can find. It's interesting that isn't a published bulletin. And I looked under brakes, I looked under tires and wheels, nothing that would really affect that. There is a bulletin about an ABS pump, but there's no mention about any extended warranty on it, and there's also there's a mention about tire pressure monitoring. It's called system initialization. It's basically just turning it on, but the only one I can find that has to do with ABS is that there's an ABS warning light bulletin that comes on, and that one is actually that's a big job. That one's replacing the ABS booster pump assembly, and but I don't see anything here that says, oh, we've extended the warranty for 10 years or anything.
Yeah, so we'll find out tomorrow. Juniors did everything they could. They did everything. They said, well, maybe it could be just a rust on a tone ring and all that.
That was exactly what I was thinking when you first said that. Was it sounds like a rusty tone ring, which we haven't seen so much in. We used to see that all the time in General Motors vehicles, especially the trucks. The tone rings would get all rusty, and all of a sudden now, ABS is not supposed to work under, say, 5 miles an hour, because if it did, you'd never come to a stop. You'd just keep rolling. So, but when the tone ring got all rusty, it would confuse the sensors, and you'd have more weird problems. So, yeah, that's kind of what I expect. I thought you were going to tell me, oh, they found a rusty tone ring. And, can you do anything about that? No. So I'll be interested to see what the dealer has to say and how they're going to do this.
Yeah.
And again, I was kind of looking at, the all data system also lists something called customer interest bulletins, which are ones they're the ones that are sort of, extended service contract kind of things. And again, I don't see anything that is ABS, tire pressure monitor related, anything like that. So let's see what they say. We'll kind of go from. We'll wait to hear back.
I will. And interesting enough, the way the ABS was coming on was when I was coming to a stop, literally line. So that was interesting when you think you're going to stop here, and then next thing you know, wait a minute, whoa, and then you're there. All right, John. I know you.
That's so good. All right. Thanks, Mike.
John.
All right. Take care. Jesse, up to you. Go to Tom in Kingston or take a break.
Let's take a break real quick so we're not
rushing. All right, why don't we take that quick break? It'll only be a minute. Tom, stay right there. We will be with you in less than 120 seconds. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Tune in to 95.9 WATD Monday nights at 9 p.m. to hear Massasoit Today. An hour dedicated to introducing you to the students, staff, and faculty of Massasoit Community College. Each show you'll hear uplifting stories, discover the latest news, and learn more about the community that makes up Massasoit Community College. Monday nights at 9 p.m. on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. Let's go to Tom in Kingston. Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I'm confused again.
Well, I spend most of my life confused.
I was going to say that's so natural,
Yeah.
Going to brakes, metal or ceramic? Now, I heard from one of the TV shows, they're saying ceramic's nice, less dust, but if you really want to stop, use metal.
Well, I don't think they mean metal. I think they mean metallic impregnated brakes.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I have ceramic pads on my car. I didn't notice any difference between those and the original brake pads. It felt the same. Higher metallic content will give you better stopping, but also they tend to be more temperature related. So the brakes need to get warm. In fact, on exotic cars, race cars, performance cars, the brakes don't work hardly at all when the brakes are cold. That's why a lot of times you'll see when they put one of those in-car cameras on an Indy car, you'll see the brake rotors turn cherry red because the metallic pads are just that. When I was in Sebring a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, whenever I was there, I was watching one of the guys take a new set of brake pads and literally rubbing them on the concrete to try to rough up the surface so he'd get better stopping out of them, which exposed more of the metallic. So ceramic, to me, for the majority of people, I don't think it's going to make any difference in stopping distance over what's there from the factory.
Well, let me give you a quick thing
say you had a 69 Camaro that you occasionally put on a track somewhere. Yeah, you might want to go with a heavy metallic pad that's going to give you a little bit better performance. But for the average car, I think a good set of ceramic pads is great.
If you do a lot of stop and go, say, for example, Expressway or 3A, 53, 139, stop and go, or you're always applying the brakes, are you better off with ceramics or are you better off with...
I say you're better off with ceramics for, if nothing else than a lazy reason that the wheels are going to stay cleaner. There's going to be less brake dust, but...
Performance-wise?
Performance-wise, I think they're going to be the same.
Wonderful. When are you coming back?
I don't know.
Be that way.
I know, yeah. It's one of those things that it's been not a fantastic winter down here, and it's been which I say that, but it didn't snow, so it's fine. So
you talk about the insurance companies. I had a friend of ours that got in a car accident. A UPS hit her in the rear, which pushed her into another vehicle in front.
Yep.
Long story short, the insurance company wanted to give her $800. They deducted because there was French fry stains on the front seat on the passenger side and stuff like that. After I got through talking to insurance company, she got about $2,100. Talk about a difference.
Oh yeah. No, I say this with a little bit of a grain of salt, though. But insurance companies' jobs are to pay as little as they can. Yeah. That's their job. And don't accept the first offer. I just for fun just Googled ceramic versus metallic pads to see if anything's different. It says, here's what it says. Ceramic pads, very quiet. Metallic pads are louder. Brake dust, low. Metallic pads are high. Stopping power, smooth and moderate. Metallics, strong and aggressive. Heat handling, moderate. Metallic handles heat better, so if you were driving down Mount Washington. Here's one. Rotor wear, much higher with metallic pads. So if you're trying to get 2 sets of brake pads out of every set of brake rotors, ceramics are definitely the way to go. And it says best used, daily driving, metallic pads, better off for heavy duty or performance driving. So exactly what I was saying. So Google and I agree. So there you go.
You got it. Dr. Google.
Yeah, I know.
John, have a good week.
You as well, Tom. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Well, I got stuck in I shouldn't say not following the basics. I was tinkering with my little boat. I've mentioned I've had a little boat, and I decided I was going to my neighbor gave me a GPS for it. So I didn't really want it for the GPS. I wanted it for the speedometer because I swear 3 days after I bought this boat, the speedometer stopped working because it uses an air tube that got clogged with sand, and they always go bad. They never work. So GPS has a speedometer in it. So I'm like, perfect. So I mounted it in the dash, for want of a better word. So I go to do that, put it all in, hook it up. Doesn't work. So I'm like, Well, then I go to, do something, and everything's dead. Everything's completely dead. So I start with the battery like you're supposed to. Check the battery. Battery's good. 12.6 volts, 900 cold cranking amps. No issues there. crawl upside down underneath the dash area, check all the fuses, check more fuses, finally determined there was a fuse that was bad that ran the main ECU of the little outboard motor. But it took me forever to follow, no wiring diagrams, but, from A to B, that's all you want to get to. Took a while to get to that, and several hours. Speaking of hours, our hour is up. That music means we need to go. I want to thank Jesse for doing everything he does in the studio, and our guest for calling in from Source One Financial. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.